Okay, great. So now getting this denture contoured should not take very long, maybe 20 minutes. All right, so we have a complete fill because we overfilled the denture. I'm not likely going to have to add any acrylic to it because we did this as an open flap pickup, so it was at bone level. So all I have to do is carve things back. If you do this closed flap, then yeah, I expect to have to add some acrylic to the intaglio. But I'm going to just contour this to the ideal and then have the tissue heal to the ideal intaglio contour. And the ideal would be convex, no concavities. So my guide in establishing my convexity is going to be my tie bases. And you'll actually see that those silicone O-rings helped me to be able to get there very quickly. All right, so the sequence of burrs that I'm going to use are going to be first this Washington Monument burr. I don't even know the names of these burrs. We have them listed on our website, but it looks like a Washington Monument. This is the equivalent of a jigsaw in woodworking. So you can cut irregular patterns. I'm going to use it to cut off my distal extensions, cut my flanges, and then get on with it. If I was in the maxilla, I'd use this to cut out my palate completely. And it makes fast work, 10, 15 seconds tops. Then I'm going to move to my aggressive burr, and that's just going to do my gross reduction. Once I've got it pretty much shaped how I want to, then I'm going to move to my coarse polishing burr, and you see how fat this polisher is? That's going to make it so I can quickly contour, polish, and establish a nice surface finish. Then I'm going to use this same coarse polisher, but in a disc form. I'm going to use that around my tie bases to just make sure I don't have any acrylic beyond the plane of that tie base. And then you're going to see me switch to my Scotch-Brite pad, and then you're going to see me just finish everything up with this Robinson brush. This is a number 8 round burr that you might see me use around the tie bases to kind of clean things up, but I may not have to do that, but that's what that's for. So I'm going to just go through the sequence and do it in real time so that you can see just how quick and easy this is. So the first burr is my Washington Monument burr. And I am going to use this to cut through my distal extensions. My buckle flange is pretty much gone because I cleaned that up during the pickup, but I'll come back here on the lingual and just cut that lingual flange. So here we go. So just cut that distal extension there. And you see how fast that goes through. And now that lingual flange. And it just popped right off. That's all I need to accomplish with that burr. Now I'm going to switch to my aggressive acrylic burr and do my gross contouring, my gross reduction. I'm using my tie base as my guide, and the silicone rings are in there, and they're kind of like a boundary for me not to get too close to the tie base. And so here what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get my intaglio down to the level of my tie base. And then I also have some really thick lingual contours here, so I'm just going to come here and thin that out. Come around those distal extensions where I did that rough cut. Okay, so that's pretty much rough cut to what I need it to be. So I put that burr away, and now I'm going to grab my polisher. So everybody's always tempted to, very first thing, pull those silicone rings out and then start adding acrylic to it. And I'm going to encourage you to just first contour it to the ideal, and then see if there's anything left that needs to be, like you need to add acrylic to. So right now, I'm just going to keep going down that sequence. So we're going to just go over all the surfaces that I just rough cut with this polisher. And I'm also going to be contouring it just a little bit further, refining that contour. What you want to do is make sure that you don't have any sharp edges, any edges that the patient would feel with their tongue and complain about for months. Going over that lingual contour there. And again, if you've got a really nice laboratory handpiece like this NSK, then doing this is super easy and super fast, very, very efficient, because the handpiece will not lose torque, and it just allows you to keep working. That burr's kind of grabbing onto those silicone O-rings, and that's okay. Desirable, in fact. So now once I've got that intaglio down to the level of the tie bases, and everything nice and smooth, even if I still have a little bit of a ring around that tie base, I'm going to move on to my disc. And now with this disc, I'm going to go brushing right up against that tie base, and I'm going to get rid of any of that moat that that O-ring created around that tie base. And depending on the height of your multi-unit abutment, like if you're using a 1.5 millimeter tall multi-unit abutment, then you might decide to leave these tie bases sitting just a little bit proud above your intaglio, about 1 millimeter, which is what I'm going to do. So here you see I'm just polishing out any hint of that silicone dam, and then just kind of playing connect the dots with the tie bases. And that's all I need to do with that one. Now we come to this Scotch-Brite impregnated silicone wheel. And we're just going to put a really nice uniform surface finish around everywhere we've polished. And you can see I'm just brushing right over those temp cylinders because honestly, it's not going to affect them if you're like just brushing over it. Now, if you sit on it, you might end up polishing that titanium a little bit. This just goes over all the surfaces that you've cut and polished. To leave us with a really nice surface finish, rounded edges, everything feeling really, really nice. And now you can see there, no concavities. That is a beautifully contoured, fixed prosthesis, and that's what you should be shooting for every time. No concavities. Please, please, for the love of Pete, no concavities. All right, so now the last step here is with this Robinson bristle to just clean out those embrasures on those teeth. And the ideal here would be, at this point, you could put this on a pumice wheel and high shine, and you'd have a really, really nicely polished prosthesis. When I'm on the road in my oral surgeon's office doing this, then I'll just glaze the acrylic with OptiGlaze. But for the purposes of this demonstration, I think we will call that good. So we'll go ahead and just steam that off and show you what that looks like. So perfectly contoured intaglio, and the occlusal surfaces have been maintained because we didn't have to destroy it in the pickup process. And so at this point, if you wanted to, you could even put this on a positive pressure forming machine or a negative pressure forming machine and make a night guard for the patient, and do that before you make any holes in the occlusal surfaces. All right?